call to order the meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission. First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Do we have any motions?
I would make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Next item is approval of the minutes from August 11th, 2025. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion of the minutes? No? All right, then all in favor of approving the minutes from August 11th, 2025, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right. Motion passes. All right, the next item on the agenda is the public forum, which is time set aside for public comments on topics of concern to the Historic Preservation Commission, other than those on the agenda. The chairperson may limit each speaker to 5 minutes, and please understand that the commission is not likely to act on comments at this meeting due to the requirements of the open meetings law, but may do so at a future meeting. Do we have anyone who is interested in speaking at tonight's meeting? All right, that looks like nobody, but we thank you for your attendance. All right, well then we will go ahead and move on to item number 5 on the agenda, which is to consider the nomination of the Chautauqua Park and Ridgewood Historic District to the National Register of Historic Places.
Hi, Maria. We've started our item now, so you can. You ready for questions?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Ray Anderson, planner for the City of Ames. We have our consultant on the phone here. NHPA consultants, they prepared the nomination. And so they're available on the phone to answer any questions you might have. You have received the report prepared by staff for this item. And it's a required action step by the State Nominations Review Committee and State Historic Preservation Office that the Historic Preservation Commission review the National Register nomination for the proposed Chautauqua Park and Ridgewood Historic District. And also the City Council will be considering this at their meeting on September 23rd. And those recommendations go to the State Nominations Review Committee, and then they meet on October 10th, and they will make a recommendation to the National Park Service on including this, listing this as a National Historic District on the National Register. They may have changes for the consultant to make at their meeting, and if so, the consultant will be given an opportunity to do that, and then those changes will be made, reviewed by the committee before it moves on to the National Park Service. But just to give you some background here, there's an aerial photograph with the boundary line shown with the dark black line on the screen. There are 150 properties in the district. The west boundary is the Brookside Park. The southern boundary is 6th Street. The northern boundary is 13th Street. And the eastern boundary is the railroad right-of-way for the Union Pacific Railroad. And notification and invitation to all the property owners within the district was sent out a few weeks ago about this meeting, encouraging people to attend the meeting and provide any input they have. And that the commission would be reviewing this and making a recommendation on this proposed nomination. So the role of the commission this evening is to, after allowing for public comment, the commission is to decide if the proposed historic district meets the National Register criteria, which has been identified as criterion C. And if so, to make a recommendation to the State Nominations Review Committee for approval of that nomination. Now, criteria C, I'll just read a brief description of what that is. It's those properties that embody the distinctive characteristics of a type, period, or method of construction, or that represent the work of a master, or that possess high artistic values, or that represent a significant and distinguishable entity whose components may lack individual distinction. And there's information included in your packet as well on evaluating something according to criterion C, evaluating this nomination according to criterion C. And also in your report is a summary of the nomination that has been prepared and what they have found, and also a description of the statement of significance and a narrative statement of significance. So they're describing why this area is significant under criterion C. And again, the consultant is on the phone if you have any questions about what they have said in the nomination. The staff has reviewed the nomination, and we believe that it meets the criterion C, and would recommend that the commission recommend the nomination for approval by the State Nominations Review Committee in accordance with criterion C. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for the consultant?
I don't have any. I thought it was well put together. So,
I'll entertain a motion then.
If there aren't any questions, then you should give an opportunity to the people here to
To ask questions?
speak or ask questions.
Yep. Yeah, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for the consultant?
Of course I do.
Okay, come on up to the microphone so they can hear you.
I'm just wondering, we received this letter, and perhaps you did too, from the Iowa Economic Development Authority. And they were saying that on October 10th, they would be deciding, I guess, whether we were going to be a district or not. I don't know. But they went on to give a lot of information about the National Registrar. And the more I look at that, the more confining it seems to be, both insurance-wise and also if I go to do anything with my home. So can anybody spread some light on what this is all about?
And it's Maria on the phone.
I don't know if anybody else has any questions. I just did.
Oh, could you give your name too for the record and your address?
My name? Oh, Jeanette LaGrange, and I live at 1011 Brookridge.
Okay, would you like to respond to the question?
I'd like someone to, yeah.
Okay,
If
go
we
ahead.
could.
Go ahead.
So the National Register is an honorary listing, and there's no restrictions on what you can do to your property, and that applies to all the National Register properties that are nominated. So there's no restrictions on what people can do to their homes, on their buildings.
I'd like to this is Kurt. I work with Maria. I'd like to add that perhaps what she was reading, and it can be a little confusing, if you want tax incentive money to rehab your building, then you have to do what they say. You have to restore it in a historic manner if you want those historic tax credits. But if you're willing to pay for it yourself, you can do whatever you want. There are no restrictions. There's only restrictions when you want tax incentives. So maybe that's where the confusion was coming in.
And are the
Does that answer the question?
restrictions for the exterior of the home or
That'd be
limited
through-
to
I think
I'm sorry.
limited to the exterior of the home?
For the tax incentives for a district like this, yeah, they'd be limited to the exterior of the house. For
And
an
just
individual nomination, it'd be different, but
And just for clarity on that, I think to kind of tie it together here. So kind of what we're talking about here and what that letter is referring to is historical tax credits. And that's, both, it goes through State Historic Preservation Office, usually reviews those with MPS, but they kind of have different buckets. They have residential and they also have commercial properties you can do it on. But as the consultants were explaining, if you wanted to do those tax credits, which is essentially, they give you tax breaks back in order to, without getting into the details, it's tax money that they have allotted that can go to. You have to go through a process to do that. And obviously they have a lot more requirements than of what it's going to be because they're funding it for you. So they got a big say in it. So really on that national level or the listing, as they said, and on the National Register, there's not like a federal requirement of what you do with your house. Where that starts to come in is in the Ames ordinance in chapter 31 for down the road if you get adopted in as a historic neighborhood in our town, much as the Old Town neighborhood in town is. Then through the city we have some requirements that apply to contributing properties within a historic neighborhood or a recognized historic neighborhood.
maybe that's what I need to look at
Mhm.
as to what those requirements are
Yeah.
as well.
Yep.
I mean, I'm familiar with Old Town somewhat, and I know that there are some restrictions, and even downtown on Main Street. And I'm just wondering how strict is that for me as a homeowner? And insurance-wise, it sounds like that is going to be a possibility of something that's going to be increased because of the district. But I couldn't find specific information about that. So I that's why I wanted to come here and find out.
Has someone told you that your insurance is going to be increased because of
I
this?
now have changed insurance, and I did not ask my current agent about it, but my former agent did say, some companies will not insure the historic homes because of the expense in replacing things if something happens. And I just have not done that with my insurance agent yet because I just had gotten the letter. This is not my letter, by the way, it's my neighbor's, but I got the exactly same letter. And I just thought it was interesting that we got these letters from the state and we were, you were having this meeting, regarding it. So I assumed they were related in some way. And I guess in a sense they are. And I just want to know what it really means for us as homeowners. So there aren't any surprises.
Well, Jeanette, my understanding is that we are proceeding only with the National Historic Registry, not anything related to the state as far as, local.
Yeah.
Local.
Right.
Okay, and Old Town has both. They
Mhm.
have the national and the local. And it's the
Okay.
local that created the restrictions.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we're not doing that.
Okay.
All we're doing is trying to get acknowledgement, recognition
it is
for the
a-
history of our neighborhood. And that may involve putting up a couple of signs that say this is a historic district,
Mm-hmm.
but it means nothing about what you can do to your home.
Mm-hmm.
And then as far as the insurance agent telling you,
He didn't know for sure,
okay,
but he said, oh, he says that might affect you.
that may be the case for people who live in Old Town where they have restrictions on how they have to handle exterior modifications. But we're not doing what Old Town has done. We're a totally
Okay.
different thing.
So our Ames restrictions would not be apropos to us, apparently. Is that
That would
correct?
just be.
At
for
this time,
situation,
does
it'd
that
just
mean
be
that
if
in-
ever down the road, and obviously that'd be a whole different process than what this is right now.
Okay,
That
okay.
if you were later down the road, and
Yeah.
again, there's a process
And
to it.
that's-
It wouldn't just be a, hey, we're going to do it now decision. But if you got sometime in the future adopted
Right.
on the local level, like
Okay.
Old Town is, that's
Yeah.
when that would loop you in.
And that's the impression I had from our former meetings and such too, so.
And that has not changed.
Okay, I mean, it was just a,
Yep,
Mhm.
you
good
get this,
question.
then you just you just wonder, what's in the background? Is there anything happening that, we need to know? But that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Anyone else have any comments or questions or discussion? Go ahead. Come up and please identify yourself and go ahead with your
I'm
question.
Carol Barrick, 1207 Orchard Drive. Now, my understanding, we received this letter that is completely separate from what is being done here for the neighborhood, that this is a choice for individual owners. This letter.
Yes, you can
And
ask
so-
for your particular home to be,
So no one in the
Recognized.
neighborhood would be bound by this unless they personally chose to do it to their own home. That's my understanding.
that would be my understanding as well.
Okay.
And Bob, you got that letter?
No,
too?
I didn't get a letter.
Oh.
Did-
Oh, okay,
did you?
I'll show you mine. Yeah, I'll give you a copy of mine. Okay.
Was that the impression that you got, that
Yes.
this was just you
Yes.
could choose?
If I
And
wanted
I think it would be
to-
really fun,
Mhm.
but don't want to get into a lot of expense. But this is completely separate from our neighborhood.
Right,
being- they're
exactly,
Two separate issues.
exactly.
And this
So,
would be free choice of each individual property owner.
yes, so if I decided that since I live in the Helen LeBaron house, if I wanted to get a National Historic Register recognition, then I personally could do that for my house alone, but it wouldn't affect anyone else in the neighborhood.
I remember when this first started, the young lady from Iowa City who did the initial study, I asked her, because I used to work for a historical society, love this stuff, never dreamed this neighborhood would be, that this would be happening where I lived. And I asked her, I said, we live in an 840 square foot home that looks like it could have been built 10 years ago. It's very simple. And I said to her, would our little house qualify to be personally on the National Register? And she said, oh, I remember that little house. I love that little house. It's very simple. But she said, yes, it would qualify. So it'd be fun, but this might be kind of expensive. So
Thank you, Carol. Anyone else have any comments or questions? No, anything further from the commissioners?
No.
Do we have a motion to adopt? Is it raise at C, the recommendation?
Yep. As you look at your alternatives there, It's alternative one is the Historic Preservation Commission finds that the nomination of the Chautauqua Park and Ridgewood Historic District to the National Register of Historic Places meets National Register Significance Criterion C and recommends National Register eligibility to the State Nominations Review Committee.
I'd move that we proceed with alternative one in that case.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? All right, the motion carries. Okay, have we done the agenda, the minutes? Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I apologize. I do want to apologize for my late appearance. It's been a crazy couple of days. My son was coming back from Japan, missed flights, and so here we are in two different day zones trying to get everything. And so my head is still in Sunday, and so it's okay. He's on his way. So thank you very much for your understanding. Yes, thank you for participating tonight and your work on the project.
Thank you.
So,
Good night.
Bye-bye.
so this item will go to the city council at their second meeting, this regular meeting this month, 2 weeks from tomorrow night. And for their recommendation to the State Nominations Review Committee, just like the commission has done. So
And then also.
you're welcome to come to that meeting too, of course.
And then also, I think we got a letter that says the state commission is holding a public meeting on October 10
Well,
that
that-
we can attend.
That's the State Nominations Review Committee.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. And so we're welcome to attend that if
Yep.
anyone would like to.
And that's in Des Moines.
Yeah. And we could arrange carpool or something if anyone would like to do that. Okay, we'll go on to the next item on the agenda, a discussion of proposed text changes to Chapter 31, Historic Preservation of the Municipal Code. Why don't we let the folks who've been working on this project go ahead and lead the discussion.
All right.
Melissa, thank you.
Yeah. So we should have received in our packets a memo regarding some of our findings from the subcommittee meeting, and that was Scott, Bob, and I. And we, I guess, happy to discuss that more. But we, again, our intent was to look at chapter 31, to see if there were any recommended changes to help with any energy efficient kind of allowances or any improvements that we could make based on energy efficient suggestions. And so we took a look at it. We kind of looked at the Iowa City Guidebook for Historic Preservation, and that is it's a great resource for one. And we identified two potential options for suggested changes that we could make. One of which was to explicitly allow within the code double and triple pane windows for just that added like thermal efficiency, could help with energy efficiency. From our understanding, the code doesn't explicitly prohibit those, but we thought that if we add a note that expressly allows it, that may help clear up any ambiguity. And then additionally, we thought that it might be beneficial to, again, explicitly allow for low E coatings on the glass panes in these windows. There are sections in the code that prohibit the use of smoked, mirrored, or tinted glass. And so our suggested kind of verbiage for that would be to that low E coatings shall be permitted, provided they're clear or neutral in color. And that way, appearance wise, they're not going to add an additional color to that. So those were our two sort of main suggestions. And then beyond that, our suggestions were just kind of to help clean up some parts of the code, because there was some, once you get into the I think it's the design criteria where let's see, section 3114, where it goes into each style and like what the the Italianate design, the Queen Anne design, and it lists each kind of design style and what the criteria are. It seems like in some of those cases, the word pane and like window pane is used to mean like multiple lights within a window as opposed to multiple layers of glass. And so if we were to adopt these changes of, allowing the double and triple pane, we would suggest adding some clarifying definitions towards the beginning of the chapter to define what pane means, define what a light means, and then make some potential revisions to those design criteria to bring everything kind of in line with, more in line with industry standards, and then the definitions that we would include. So that's kind of the overview. And yeah, that's about it. Any other questions? Three of us are happy to field.
So there would be, and do you have any proposed language for the further definitions, or just the categories or the terms so far? And then we suggest that, or maybe staff suggests language.
I think in the memo or in the email that I provided, that we provided for Ray and for staff, I just suggested wording for the initial kind of addition of the double or triple paned glass, and then the low E coatings, just those. And I think that adding the words pane or light could be something that perhaps staff could work on, or we can work on more. I think that was also a discussion item, because I think once we get into the pane and light and then revising those additional sections, it kind of it starts to kind of reach out and become a little bit more broad, the changes. So I guess it kind of depends on what how limited we want to keep our scope for this. Okay.
Any other? Go ahead.
And I'll just know we kept it, obviously it's focusing on energy efficiency, but we kept it pretty well limited in what we were looking at to, windows more specifically, just because on our work plan for this year, that's kind of in our work plan, we specifically mentioned looking at energy efficiency of windows and what our options are to give the people in Old Town more opportunities to put windows in that are going to help their home perform better. So that's kind of why we kept the focus pretty narrowed down here to windows and maybe a more manageable bite at it.
Mike or Bob, any other questions or comments or discussion?
I don't have any. No.
Well, I think if the commission is generally in favor of doing this, distinguishing panes and windows and glazing or whatever, then I think the committee really has to come back with specific wording for each little change that we want to make for the commission's approval before we send it to city council.
What is your thought on that? Are we looking for more of a general initial approach, and then see if we have the go ahead to get more detail, or what is your thought about how we proceed on this?
I'd be kind of curious to know what staff thinks on that one too, just because, if you think about it from the other side, sometimes staff brings us new wording for ordinance and then has us look at it to see if we see anything in there that's going to trip stuff up or any other connections that don't look great to us, et cetera. And I think regardless, even if we are creating definitions or suggesting them before they go to council, we probably want to send those to staff too, so they can do their part of reviewing that also and maybe raise a flag of, oh, that's going to trip up stuff over in this piece of
Right.
code over here or whatever. So I think it should be a back and forth with us and the staff, I think, before anything is actually sent to the council. But
Ray, any comments or response or thoughts?
Yeah, we, as staff, we haven't really reviewed these changes yet, but I can certainly talk to our director, Kelly Diekman, and get back to you on that and go from there, to kind of refine things as to what the changes are and then see if the council is interested in making those changes proceeding. We'd probably ask the council before it's in an actual ordinance format, because that's kind of the next step. And as staff, we really need the permission from council to, prepare an ordinance change in response to what the commission is asking.
So do you suggest we table this until you have a chance to talk to Kelly and?
I don't think
staff,
that you
or-
need any motions this evening. Yeah, just kind of, introducing it and I'll get back to you with some feedback at the next meeting.
Okay, so we'll have this again on the
Yeah.
agenda for next time. Okay. Does that sound okay to everyone? If we proceed that way?
Okay, so is planning and housing going to do the actual wording for the amendments then? Proposed amendments?
Well, you've got some down here already, that,
Right.
it's a good start to go from. But as far as the definitions of lights and panes, if you have any suggestions on that, we're certainly open to look at that or, we can see what we have to.
Is that something that you would continue to work with me or the subcommittee to refine prior to our next meeting, and then we can potentially have something
Yeah, I think so.
more
Right.
explicit, more specific, I guess, for the meeting that we could vote on? Is that?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess in that case, Ray, if you are able to bring this to planning and housing and have Kelly or whomever review it, feel free to keep me in the loop. And
I will. Yep.
Thank you very much for your work on this. Anything further before we go on to commission comments? Okay, anyone have any comments to add or discussion about anything before we move to staff comments? Okay, Ray, we'll turn it over to you if there's anything you'd like to add.
No administrative approvals of any certificates of appropriateness since your last meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And I guess the big thing is the nomination going to the State Nominations Review Committee on October 10th. And the council, as I mentioned, will review this at their second meeting in September.
Okay.
And I need the form for the State Nominations Review Committee from the Historic Preservation Commission filled out, and I need to talk to the chair
Okay.
after the meeting a little about that.
Yep, that'd be great.
Okay.
All right, any questions for Ray or?
Nope.
No? All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
yeah, I'll motion to adjourn.
One second. Any objections to adjourning? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned at 6:37 PM.
Thanks.